Okay, I'm gonna try again. Well, not again, but go at describing how I went making this, how I went about painting it. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So the base, the main chassis is obviously from Land Raider kits, I think it's from a couple of Land Raider Crusader kits. And basically, in order to get them like this, if I look here, you can see that down this line here goes pretty much straight down to halfway to there. So I use this line down there to cut all the way up and all the way down. Oh, I can use the same one, can't I? And on the back end, this line will go down behind. So I think what I did was cut down this line and then either cut or shave it back so it was halfway through here. So then when you get your join in here, you have it halfway. So this is the same length as this, so you get that homogeneous sort of consistency. So it's kind of like getting it down over like that. And then underneath, if I can do this without breaking anything, underneath you can see that there's gaps. There's gaps through here and through here. That's because the inside, what do I do with those parts? With cutting these parts, I cut them to around about that length, and then I use this other cut-off part years ago to go down here on the back. So I did that twice to get this part as well. And then I went over it with the Land Raider tracks. And this here is just cardboard, because whatever. And then going over the front, because you've got these big sort of widths, I think what I did was I used a bunch of business cards and cut them to width and then covered them in green stuff and filed them back using some files. And then to sort of decorate it, I did these pits with green stuff, used a drill to put in these holes, and then I think with these ones I drill a hole and then fill it so that it's just a little bit over the size of the hole, and then used a little, that's all the way over there, one of my little tools with a ball on the end to push it in. It's like similar size, not small enough that it can go through the initial hole, but big enough so that it'll not go through the hole and also force out extra green stuff. These bits are Land Raider lights. This bit here, all of this is all green stuff. This detailing is green stuff. These bits are from, I'm pretty sure they are Rhino side, these parts, but for a Rhino rather than a Land Raider. And all the way up inside there, what I used was a Bane blade, not a Shadow Sword, but a Bane blade top turret placement bit, technical term. And I think the width of this is from the very edge of the turret part. So you have where the turret fits into it, and then you'll have parts around it where you put little manholes. What's my hand doing? And then out the front it'll be a bit narrower, so a Land Raider is typically, I mean a Baneblade would typically be about that wide. So because I used the width of the outside go under here. I don't know if I've got a spare to sort of demonstrate, but to get that width is the Land Raider, I mean the Baneblade top chassis plate that the turret fits into. And then I think this here is more Land Raider parts. Is it Land Raider parts? Yeah, I think Land Raider has a bit more out here that goes up and around, but this is where the either your Twin Link Stormbolters or Twin Link Gatling Cattons go. Up here I think was just random bits of plastic that I was able to put over, like this is one tiny little bit that I cut off something, and then there's another bit underneath all that goes across there. Well, this is the front of a Rhino, yeah, the front of a Rhino's armor. Up back here, I'm not sure if that is where a one of the port, what's the word? One of the holes that the hatches go, but this I'm pretty sure is from a Baneblade, from the Baneblade turret. One of the hatches from that. That's a base string, and then there's green stuff to make it look like it's been linked. This eye, I think that eye, and I think that eye are all the little balls from the Hungry Hippos kids game. Some would call it a kids game, I just call it an awesome game. Then you have your standard Land Raider sponson cover parts, then a Land Raider Crusader sponson standard. Not really anything changed about it. Back here was a 2x4 Mega Bloks Lego block from the Pelican. Was it 2x4? No, it wasn't. Maybe 1x4 down there, and then these ones come up to about there. These little parts are from Lego / Mega Bloks. And then I think in here is the same. This part here is Mega Bloks. And then I used green stuff to make these parts and join these tubes in there. I know that on one of my models I used super glue lids, because say this down here there's like a portion that's just straight round undetailed that I used for that sort of join, but I can't remember if it was on this or if it was on something else. Actually, yeah, these are I've got my super glue. It is, what's my camera doing? It is same dimensions, essentially same depth. It's basically just cut off across there, placed it on there, then I've got a perfectly rounded point that I could put that in there. Along here, through here was empty, so I had to use some business card to place across there and then cover with a bit of green stuff and make it flat. Along here, these parts were plastic plates as well, the same on this side, and I joined them. I'm pretty sure they were about maybe half an inch thick, and there were 3 of them on each side that I put together. Put them up to here. I think this height here goes straight across. So in the middle where I have the Baneblade turret mount, the very top is the same height as this. So it's kind of like right across the from here to here, just goes straight flat right across, all the way across the model. And that's where I got this sort of heightened part. So then after doing this, I put this on so that it could be in a like an additional weapon system, because I'm going for a lot of DACA. And this pit here, there's a bit here that I think is from a Predator / Razorback kit, the top. So what where this is going into is where the Predator turret or the Razorback bit goes into, but this and this mount here are both from the Defiler kit. And then you have Shadow Sword forward cannon turret, not that it's a turret, but chassis armor plates here for a bit of detail. Yeah, so you'll see down in there, down in here, there's that venting, those vents. And I think on one side it'll have not vents but something else, but yeah, this would be the I don't know which side this would be. But basically you can see from about here to about there is that one bit that goes on the Rhino, which would be about that long, maybe a bit shorter. But yeah, this is a exhaust system from the Pelican, Megabox Pelican. Down inside there, this is one of the bits from a Chaos tank sprues. I don't know what to call it, but this is, I think it might be the same as that, but without this detailing on the outside. So if you look on the back of this bit, you'll see that there's kind of like an indented area, which I assume is to go over the Imperial Aquila, so that it can sit flat as well as without having to scrape off any plastic. Got Baneblade / Shadow Sword fuel tanks. This piece here is from Warhound Titan, Forge World Warhound Titan. On the sides with the weapons, where the weapons join to the body, above it, where one of the balls, if you've got one, there'll be like, there's like a little ball joint, and above that is where you place these. So that's where I got these bits from. This bit around here is completely manufactured with a I used business card to get the width and dimensions, and then I covered it in about maybe 2 to 3 millimeters of green stuff, which is probably a waste. I probably could have just used like 4 or 5 business cards to thicken it out, and then use much less green stuff. But once I got it to the right dimensions, used files and sandpaper to get it flat, and then these little knobs are polyurethane little stick bits that I think on Instagram a few years back I asked what people use to create studs when there aren't studs, because I was struggling with, I don't remember if I was making this or it was a different model, but yeah, these ones I'm pretty sure are this size. So just drill in about 2 to 3 millimeters, stick it in, and then snip it off at whatever whatever length so that it can have a stud look. This bit here is from the wheels of a corn blood throne, and they're on both sides. Pretty much most of this is pretty symmetrical, so over here you have the same. On the ends of a lot of skulls with the tanks on the back, that's what this piece is from the top. This piece as well is from the corn blood throne kit. I think I ended up buying like 3 or 4 kits of the corn blood throne, and that's what all this here is. And it's like, I was blown away. I think I bought 3 or 4 because I bought one, and then it was like just crazy good for doing corn, because it's just like so many different obscure shapes. It was really good for kit bashing various things. So I got 2 or 3 more, and then basically used it to get all this together. These tanks have got a quote-unquote nameless soft drink bottle lids. They are 3 of these in a line, so I'd have, in this orientation, I'd have another one of this one facing this way, so you have the flat side on both sides. And I don't remember if I wrapped it in cardboard business card or just went straight over with green stuff, but basically used this as the filler, went over it, made it round with files and sandpaper. The mounting, what is this? The mounting in here is all green stuff. This plate here is green stuff. All of this here is green stuff as well. And then using the polystyrene, polyurethane, whatever they're called, bits drilled in to make the studs. I think I've got 3 sizes, so these are a little bit bigger than these ones, because I wanted to get big ones for nice big studs. And then because I'm using various sizes, there were some smaller size ones. I think there's a few of these little studs that were not from the kit that I had to add. This piece here is from just like a random piece to add extra detail, because why not? This is also from a Lord of Skulls. When you mount the 2 middle the middle back tracks, you get these little bits with extra area around them. It's about 1 millimeter long. You get them to join, and that's basically what they're from. This little icon is from a Slaneshi icon. I think this might be the very last one that I've got, but I haven't looked through my kits, through my storage thingies yet. But basically I use them to, if this is the bottom, you cut that into the V shape, so it looks like an extra point, and you cut it off at the top to either make a point or cut it straight off there, depending on what you're going for, whether you want the full 8 stars or if you want like the Death Guard style 6 points on the outside. This bit here is from the Night Titans, from the weapon mount. Basically just trying to make it look plausible and mechanical, as realistic as I can, given the unrealistic nature of it. This tube is obviously green stuff, just as these are all green stuff. This bit here is green stuff. All of this is green stuff, I'm pretty sure. I don't think I used that I used a super glue lid for this bit, but I could very well have, because they are very rounded, and they're very consistently consistently widthed. So yeah, apologise if my audio is bad. I'm just talking to my phone and it's 2:30 in the morning and I don't want to wake my housemates up. Oops. Back here you have on top of a Land Raider, I'm pretty sure it's a Land Raider, this is the engine at the top that goes along the top between the tracks, obviously. This bit, this bit, this bit, and this bit are from Adeptus Titanicus, one of these bad boys. Try and find it. These turret pieces here. This is really difficult because I've got like my camera mount. Yeah, there is half swallowed by the screen is half swallowed by the thing that holds the phone. So these bits which go into these bits of your Warmaster Titan. That bit, that bit, that bit, and that bit, and then you have your primary weapon system. Yeah, half of it placed there. I believe this here is an engine from a Nemesis Dreadnought, while this part here is the Land Raider engine. This part I think is also from the Warmaster Titan. Yes, that would be this little bit here. So where you make the pelvis, I think I use this on a different model. These parts on a different model to mount twin-linked plasma / Gatling cannons, but this bit here is this little bit. So these bits here are also from the thighs, the upper thighs of the Warmaster Titans, the Titan's legs. I think these are from the Shadow Sword kit as well, from Cannon Parts, but I'm not certain. This bit here and this bit here are again cardboard covered in or shaped, bent, and then covered in green stuff to get that shape. And basically, I don't remember what I got these for initially, but I eventually just chucked these on here because they were just like a waste of space in my kit box, and I wanted to use them for something. So they're kind of a bit rubbish, but whatever. We have bass guitar string, string. I think this is a kit piece from the Night Titans. Has like a little ball part here, and then yeah, I drilled up into there and into there to get them to sit in there well. This part and this part I'm pretty sure are from the tanks from the Lord of Skulls. This is a bass guitar string with green stuff wrapped around it and shaped to be kind of like, I don't know if I was trying to go for like capacitor type deal or what. It just seemed like a pretty cool kind of thing to add extra detail to the thing. This is a guitar string. These I think are either Vex Machinator parts or Hellbrute tubes. I'm not entirely certain which. Up here you've got more bass guitar strings, small bass guitar strings, and then these details are all green stuff. This is all green stuff all the way up here. This is green stuff. On the this here is a piece that comes off this part, like it would typically go here or here, from the Land Raider, Redeemer, or Crusader kit. Put it there for a bit of extra detail because I think I used these from the Chaos Tank kits, and then because I had heaps of space here that I could fill with green stuff, and then heaps of space here that I could fill with green stuff, I used this to chuck in here because I didn't think I had anything else really to put there. These parts here are all green stuff, I think. These bits here, I'm not certain if they are green stuff as well. Perhaps I might have a bit of... Yeah, I guess they are. No, so the front of these is plastic, but I don't remember what from, because this is plastic, obviously. There's a seam, so this part here is green stuff. Basically from this seam down is all green stuff, but this part here has to be plastic, right? And then I don't know what that would be from though. Anyway, these little details here are green stuff. This is from the Land Raider part I filled in because I think I put this on before I realised that stuff had to go there. I think this had a little bit. This has got a little bit of green stuff on the end to make it sort of longer, or potentially I could potentially making that up. Yeah. Going on to the cannon. I think what I initially did was we got from the Blood Throne. Got basically the main structure. So you'll see that this bit here is this bit here. So if what am I doing with my camera? Basically you can see how it's kind of like, maybe if I go this way and I tilt it kind of like that. You have this going down like this part here being this part up here being here, this part here being green stuff going over the teeth, I'm pretty sure, and then you have on the end you have the throne sitting on the ends. So that was on these two. I'm pretty sure the same, rather than having so these parts here didn't, they're basically just this part without adding this armor piece. Without adding this armor piece, but on here it is this part, but with the armor piece added. So this here has the armor piece on it, and it will go all the way down up into here, and then beside that I used Drukhari Raider chassis from the back side of the chassis, I'm pretty sure, and it'll go down and around, sort of through there. You can't really see it, but it's kind of like the way that I mounted this was on the rounded part, because it kind of just sat in there well. And then over the top of that, you've got these armor pieces, which are from the Forge World, Knight Porphyrion kit. I think they go on the back. They typically go on the back, I'm pretty sure. And then this part here is all green stuff. This is all green stuff. In here is all green stuff. That band across the top is all green stuff. Bass guitar strings and guitar strings. And then I think all of this added stuff here is all green stuff, because that would typically dip down and then come up to here. Up in here is where this toothpick would typically go, I'm pretty sure. Or am I wrong? No, I'm completely wrong. This bit here, see how they've got this sort of ridge, the ridge spot, these little ridges here. So this bit here is plastic, and then down in there is all green stuff. Trying to join this plastic up with this part of the Knight Porphyrion to kind of make it one piece. I don't remember exactly what I used as the core. I think down in here, this part, or these two parts, maybe they're the back end and they're the front end. I don't remember. But underneath, I'm pretty sure, yeah, underneath, I initially made a torso and it looked really cool, but then I started chucking this area together, and it just seemed better to be either an aircraft or a big weapon. Down under there, I think that goes down and curls back under, way back in there. And then I'm not sure what else I had in there for the structure, because this part will go, it'll have a bit that'll go down, kind of like a wishbone. Same with this will go to here, and there's another bit that go in there, another bit on this side that go in there. I think I had them joining each other. And then throughout here, this is all green stuff. These two tanks are from Joe Sonia acrylic paint lids. I think not from the little tubes, but from, like, you can get tubs, not tubs, you can get bottles that are maybe 2 to 3 times more volume. So I used those lids for these bits, and then these, where's my pointy stick? This bit here, and on the other side, the very old Citadel paint pot lids are what I mounted these onto, and they're pretty much the exact right size to go over the top rim. So I'm trying to use whatever I can to fill out as much space as I can to save on space and basically save on the cost of green stuff, because it's crazy expensive. This bit here is also from the corn blood throne, and then this stuff around here is all green stuff. This detail here is green stuff. And then I think this here is from the main tire of the corn blood throne, and I don't remember exactly what I mounted it onto, but this here would have been plastic. I might have put another bottle lid of some kind, like a milk bottle lid or something, and then joined that to it to get this spot, and then basically just pinned it into it. This piece here is a cannon from the Lord of Skulls belly cannon, with basically how I did it was basically just laid it down flat and sort of tried to kind of made it as if this is kind of made it as if this is like a power, like if you were to have an upright power thing that spins around, and then eventually stuck it on the front. These are the cannons from the Blood Throne kit with some extra bits put on the bits. So it's kind of like how the Death Star shoots into a point and then shoots out. That's kind of what I'm going for, at least electrifying this area before firing out. This bit is from the Telos pain engine, from the tail. What are these instructions? Oh no, those are not from the Blood Throne, because they are from the Telos pain engine, which is this part. Here we go, stick on the booty. And then here on this tail sort of cannon part is one of these little guys. Just add a bit more detail and to use it, because I had no idea what else to use it for. These two spike bits I don't know what are from. The tip of this would initially be, I think it was like 0.5 centimeter to 7 millimeters further this way, but I cut out those bits because it wasn't super stable. But this cannon piece all the way up the middle is from the Decimated Demon engine, and I cannot find a photo of it on Google. They have like all the other weapons that I know of, and I cannot find this one, but I had to add these bits on because the resin wasn't super great. The bits that were down here were kind of warped, a bit nasty. So I think these bits, the center rods of these bits were from another kit, but I can't remember where. And then I shored them up with some green stuff around here and added a bit of extra detail. I'm not sure what these bits are from. They might be one there, and another one on that side. Trying to figure out what my hands are doing. What do I do with my hands? These bits here are from the plasma cannon parts from Warhound Titans. I think I got 2, and this one and the other one are from one of those. You got a spotlight. I think the spotlight is from a Land Raider kit. And over the back, I initially had no idea where these little bits came from, but I found that they are them just randomly looking through things. So on the Lord Discordant, in this part, this little bit is this little guy, and then on this side, I'm pretty sure this little guy is that little guy, or maybe that little guy. Probably that little guy on that side. Hopefully that's not washed out and nasty, because I can't really see looking from there. And then so yeah, that was interesting to find out, which I found out literally just before starting this video. These little spikes here are from the 4 talons from an exocrine. So you got these bad boys. This spike here. Try and look at what the camera's doing. So I think I cut that bit off. I think I initially had these made for something, but I don't remember what I used them for. And then I chopped this little bit off because once they were made, it was kind of a bit in the way. But cut these bits off, put them on there, and I think not all of this is green stuff. I think the main structure of that is parts from a Terrorgeist kit, and then this sort of scarring is all green stuff. There might be around the base of these little spikes, I think might be green stuff. But the main primary structure of it is plastic. All Games Workshop. Like, I think if I look there, I don't know if you can really see it. This part here. It's really hard to do this looking through the camera. This part here, I think, is plastic, and that detailing is plastic, I think. And then also where I mounted these wires on the brain, they're from the Warmaster Titan. Up on the shoulders, you have these bits that go in here. Rather than connecting these little bits and putting them on, I turned these upside down, so this side is going flat on the brain, and then these guitar strings are coming out from each of these little points. So it's kind of like looking at, yeah, so this side here would be this side here, and then on the inside would be these. So I placed, so placed it, just put it straight on. I think I might have pinned it, I'm not entirely certain. And then drilled through the middle so that I could put that bass guitar string in there. And basically just did these bits here with green stuff. Shaped all these, I put all them in, and then, I shaped them and then put them in so that they were relatively close to this positioning. But I think I had to get some string or something to sort of hold them still while I had these bits of green stuff curing. And the same goes for this side. And basically the core of the mass in there is basically just all soft drink lids. Either soft drink lids or some other kind of lid. I don't think I used all soft drink lids for all of it. I'm pretty sure there were 2 lids that I used for these 2 main bulbous areas. The 2 that I used for those, I'm pretty sure, were different to the Coke bottle lids, but you can see this sort of spot here has a relatively rounded shape. It's pretty much the exact same shape as same size as a Coke bottle lid. So I tried to do that as symmetrical as possible. Filled it out, covered it in green stuff so it had a relatively flat surface to provide the primary plane, I guess. So this is all flat onto that layer of green stuff, but that initial layer wasn't necessarily flat like this, so I had to work it and get it flat and then work all these boys into it. And then I think I got to this point here. I think I'd already done this side and got to here before I remembered that every brain has a cerebellum. So the reason this is so small, rather than having two hemispheres and being a little bit bigger, because I know the cerebellum is much smaller than the cerebrum. The reason it doesn't really have any hemispheres is because I completely forgotten all of these. I think either this side was cured and I had done most of this, and then I was like, crap, I gotta put a cerebellum in. But these spikes are just solid green stuff, kind of like if I've done stuff and I have like a lot, I either have a lot left over from what I want to do, or I'll deliberately make spikes. I'll just get like big, probably the size of my thumb. There's probably about as much green stuff in these big ones as much as the size of my thumb, and then just roll it into a sausage and point it, and then lie it down on some of the plastic that the strips come in, and it won't stick to anything really. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure what else I can go through. These bits here, I wanted them to look like the mutation has sort of wiggled its way into the hull and then forced its way as it's gotten the breach. So then what I did was I'd make a kind of like a triangle of green stuff and then place it, and then with my finger press and then slide away, and then with my tool basically go over it and flatten that part out. And once it's cured, go in. I try and get as much of a good shape as I can beforehand, but afterwards, once it's cured, if I needed to, I'd come in with Stanley knife and trim off the edges. And I think I was fortunate enough on pieces like this part and around here that they were in a position where I could use my Stanley knife to shave things back to get that curl and get that smoothness to it. But I don't think I got it so much on this. I had to get that smooth with sculpting, but because like I can get in pretty much straight in here with a Stanley knife, this is relatively sharp and good. All the way down here, I think all of this is green stuff. I don't think this eyeball was green stuff. I think that is, I don't remember what that is. I know it's a part. I know it's Games Workshop plastic, but I don't remember exactly what kit it's from. I think inside there is relatively hollow. Some parts in here would be a soft drink lid, but I think when it comes down to these parts, this is all green stuff. So quite a lot of green stuff used in some of this area. These tubes here are all green stuff, and then once I had these in, I came in afterwards and sculpted these parts. Basically just went blip, and then smushed it around and sort of pinched and pulled the shape so that it looks like it's a good enough fitting. So yeah, I'm not entirely certain what else. I think to go off how I painted it, the brain, I started off with, a very rough dry brush of corn red, so that it's not solid corn red. With the black base, it'll look like darker than just straight matte corn red. And then I went up to dry brushing a layer of Evil Sunz Scarlet, and then I think the Evil Sun Scarlet got pretty solid, but what I wanted to have was like a deep red down in the crevices, going up to a bit more rich red before using Emperor's Children layer to get the pinkness, sort of like find a blend between the two so that it has that sort of fleshy slash nervous system sort of color, but it doesn't really hit well until you start using a shabby bone and white scar to sort of bring up this sort of pallid, pinkish pallid sort of look. And then once I'd done it, I realized that it's like, hang on, this is Nurgle. It's not supposed to look. The brain isn't supposed to look healthy because like that's just not how Nurgle does things. So I think these parts are Waywatcher Green glaze. So there's some Waywatcher Green glaze to give it. Oh no, actually, no. Maybe I did a bit of Waywatcher Green glaze, and then I used Nurgle's Rot to, yeah, because that's the same tone as that. Yeah, so I went over it with Nurgle's Rot to give that sort of sickly kind of look. Went around the edges with some more. I don't think I used Evil Sun Scarlet. I think it was Corn Red, and then maybe used Blood for the Blood God, but not super thick. So around here, this is relatively thick. This was all sort of the same color as this, but then I went over quite heavily, much more heavily with Blood for the Blood God than I did around here and around there. So yeah, I found having that sort of it's similar sort of paint job to this, but like when I was doing this sort of stuff, it's like with this sort of colouring and then having Blood for the Blood God put over the top, it just makes it look much more fleshy, much more, I don't know, the Blood for the Blood God just looks like real, much more real than if it was like when I've put it onto other kits and not sort of had that fleshiness. See, kind of down here there's a little bit of Blood for the Blood God, but it doesn't quite look the same as when it's directly on this sort of colouring. The armor color is pretty standard Death Guard sort of work. Dry brush, I think it's Death World Forest. Yeah, Death World Forest. Dry brush that on. Again, so it's similar to how you do this with the Corn Red, so it's like a bit darker than, it's not solid Death World Forest, but it's a little bit darker. And then make a mix of Death World Forest and Ushabti Bone to get a bit more of a lighter, semi-pallid green. And then on top of that, you get a much more reduced dry brush of Ushabti Bone to get sort of go through that sort of patches. So then it's like, rather than having a solid uniform sort of color scheme, it's kind of has a dirty kind of appearance. So you have kind of like highlights that have this sort of pallid look, and you have deeper points that make it look dirty, and then you go over it with what's it called, typhus corrosion into the recesses, and that will sort of, you kind of smudge it around rather than I think there were some parts like down here, there's some brown parts and some random parts around the body that I've used it on the paint so that it makes the paint look more grubby. And then all this down here is this typhus corrosion on, I think I did bolt gun metal, going off of lead belcher, going off of the old names, but lead belcher dry brushed all the way down here, and then went over it with typhus corrosion. The rust, start off with lead belcher, then I'd go over with dappling slash dry brushing with riser rust to get the orange look. Then I'll go over that. Or would I? No, I go lead belcher, then typhus corrosion, then riser rust, and then I'd very sparingly go over with runefang steel. And the runefang steel kind of takes away the orange, takes away the oxide look, and gives it more of a tarnished old metal rather than a rusted old metal. But there were parts where I left it kind of orange so that you still kind of got the idea that there was still rust. And trying to, just trying to make it as plausible as I can make it in terms of how it looks. The effects of the, I guess, like basically the anatomy and how the parts, all these would be bare metal, and some parts would be painted or gilded. Basically trying to make the mechanical parts rusted, the engine parts the more utility parts more rusted, and then the armour and the more plainness, can't think of the word, the areas that have more planes being the more standard Nurgle colours. But I am waffling my butt off, so hopefully that can help you make your own. If you want to make your own, I'm all for it. I'd love to see it. If you've got Instagram, look me up, Horace Grumpy Gills. Horace, I think it's Horace _ Grumpy Gills 000. But yeah, hopefully this has given some insight, some inspiration into how you can go about making your own super heavy tank and your kit bashing. So yeah, God bless. Hope you are doing well. If not, hang in there. Yeah, keep on keeping on. Love y'all. Bye.